Hello. Okay, it works. Hello, everyone. I hope everyone's enjoying Athletes Can Forum. We know we are. Thank you so much for having us. This is our first one, and we've heard so much about it. And so up till now, it's definitely lived up to expectations, everything that we've heard about it. We're absolutely exhausted, but we've met a lot of really great people, and we've had a lot of fun so far, and the weekend's not over yet, so hopefully a little bit more fun. So, have you heard of Sports Solution before coming to Forum? And yes is A, and no is B. I think you're supposed to do something with a poll. You can, there's so many options. We'll wait. 100% no. I guess you can just wait. Look at this technology they have. This is pretty amazing live activity going on. Okay, so far it's looking pretty good. More people than not have heard of us prior to Forum. Should we just wait till it levels out, or? I think it's looking pretty, 70-30. It's pretty good. So definitely a lot more have heard of you than not. Are people still voting? I see some people on their phones still, so. Okay. All right, so that looks pretty good. For you guys who don't know what Sports Solution is, we are a program of Athletes Can. We provide legal support for sports-related legal issues that athletes may face. We are committed to supporting an athlete-centered vision of the sports system in Canada. So we do that by making sure that you guys can do what you do, we can focus on your sport, and we take care of all the legal business that you unfortunately have to also take care of when you're dealing with your NSOs and other organizations. Yeah, so.
All right. Hello? Okay, there. All right, so Sports Solution, as you can see, was established in 1996, and it's the only program of its kind in North America. So this means that we work with all Canadian national team athletes across Canada. We deal with athletes over the phone and through email. So the clinic, it's a legal aid clinic, and we are Western law students. I think later on we'll discuss the structure of the clinic, but the goal of the clinic is to help you resolve any legal issues that you may encounter.
Okay, so we deal with a couple of issues. Here you can see kind of the ratio that we've seen this past summer of the types of issues that we have faced. And I mean, typically it's a lot of team selection cases. So it's a lot of athletes that have been saying, I did not get selected to a team that I think that it should have been selected for, or, the criteria was not, submitted on time or something like that. Something I didn't know, and, what can I do now? Can I be put on this team? That's the majority of our cases. We get a lot of other, carding, funding, doping things as well, but that has reflected what we've seen so far this summer since we've been program managers since May. I've received a lot of questions as to what our win percentage is. I will address this now because I know that I'm going to get it in questions later. Well, we don't like to think of it in terms of win percentages, because really what we like to think of it is as we like to open up the forum for all the evidence to get put out there, and then an arbitrator or mediator will see what's fair, and then hopefully what's fair will be given to the athlete. We just want the athlete to get the rights that they deserve. So we don't like to think of it as winning or losing, because sometimes an athlete might think that they should get something, and in the end it's not necessarily true, or it's not winning or losing, although we do tend to get quite attached to our athletes, so we want them to get what they want in the end, but sometimes it's just not in the cards. So we don't like to think of it as winning and losing. We just like to think of it as getting athletes the rights that they deserve. Oh, another poll. So which of these types of, I hope you didn't put your phones away, I'm sure you didn't. Which of these types of issues have you faced? So text in or open up the app. This is really fancy. I didn't know these cool polling things would be here. Yes?
Sorry, when you said you, do you mean like our organization or do you mean us specifically?
I think it could be you specifically, but maybe if you've dealt with it, a close friend of yours, someone close to you in the organization, then you could also be related to it, something like that. Any issues that you've seen? Just get a little proxy. Oh, you can't select, you're only allowed to have one problem. We can only deal with so many things at once. Sorry, guys.
Select all.
Yeah. Select all. Hopefully not. We would really hope that you don't want to select every single one. Otherwise, please, if so, please call us immediately, and hopefully we can get that number down. Okay, so far we're seeing a lot of team selection, a lot of athlete funding. That's pretty reflective of what we've gotten in the clinic. Not a lot of appeals, which is like internal appeals count. I don't know if you, well, I guess you probably selected another thing and then saw appeals later and realized you couldn't select more than one. But okay, so far we're seeing a lot of team selection and athlete funding. And I guess those are pieces that are really at the core of being an athlete in Canada. You want to be selected to the national, the Olympic team, and you want to get money for what you're doing because it's kind of hard to do what you do without money for it. So yeah, that kind of makes sense. Sorry if you were still voting. We just need to get it going.
All right, so just a little background on the organization of the clinic. So Danielle and I are the current program managers, along with Kendra and Marissa, who some of you might have met last year. So we oversee the clinic, and we will be the ones dealing with the athletes. That's for confidentiality reasons, so that's something to keep in mind, that when you contact the clinic, everything is kept confidential between you and the program managers. Throughout the school year, though, we do have law students who volunteer for the clinic, so they'll engage in activities such as research or writing something that we would then review before it was submitted for any sort of appeal or to a board of directors or something like that. And then we are constantly in contact with Athletes Can and Ashley in particular to make sure that there's a good relationship between the two organizations.
So how can Sports Solution help you? What I was saying to a lot of people that came around for speed dating yesterday is that Sports Solution mainly is here to support athletes. So what we were saying is that a lot of the resources are available online for filing appeals for this sort of thing, and it is, there are people that do it themselves, but the thing is, you're here as athletes, all of you are amazing, high level athletes, and you've only gotten to this level by focusing hard on what you do. And so what we try to do is we try to take this facet of your career off your shoulders, and we try to make it a little bit less daunting, because it can be a very, very scary process, especially when you have a bunch of people in your NSO kind of facing off. It seems like facing off against you, even though a lot of times it can just be a misunderstanding. So we just kind of try to be the representative that's kind of in between there to so it doesn't get too awkward between you and your NSOs, and we try to help you really create your case, review all your evidence, review your case, really shape your story so that you have a compelling case before the appeals board or before your arbitrator, before your mediator. So that's what we try to do.
So this is just something that we recommend for all the athletes to do, is to ensure that you're reading any criteria that your NSO has published. So team selection, carding, athlete agreements. Make sure that you're reading this as early as it's published, because let's say you can read a team selection document and there might be something immediately that you notice doesn't sound right or could become a conflict, And if you can recognize this immediately, you can appeal it. And dealing with these issues as early as possible is strongly recommended so that you can appeal them, because there's limits as set out in your NSO's appeal policy. So, and this also, if you've read it, maybe you don't notice anything wrong, but at least you understand what the requirements are, so that going into a selection, you know what is required of you, and before you're signing something like an athlete agreement, you understand what you're signing. You're not just signing away something that you haven't read.
Yes, and as athlete reps, we really look to you guys to spread that word among especially the younger athletes in your NSOs, because, you know, a lot of people came to us yesterday being like, when I was young, I just signed anything they put in front of me just because I wanted to play my sport. But, you know, reading those agreements lets you know what your responsibilities are as an athlete and what your NSO's responsibilities towards you are as well, what your rights are. So it's very important. So in selection disputes, which we have seen are pretty much the most common and most important disputes that we see. Basically, we hear about it after there's a problem. So say you first get your criteria, you haven't looked at it, whatever, too many days have passed since it's been published, and then you encounter a problem with it. You realize, hey, I was supposed to be like on this team, why am I not? You read the criteria and you're like, hey, this criteria doesn't even make any sense, or there are like a lot of loopholes or something like that, and someone else got on the team that I should have been on. It's preferable that you bring this to our attention when it's published, because then you can appeal the policy itself. But generally, by the time we hear from athletes, it's quite a while. It's like they're going to a championship soon, and it's been quite a while since the criteria is published, and so we need basically what we're trying to say here is just we need to hear about it as soon as possible so that we can help you in the best way possible, just because this is the most common kind of case that we hear.
So I think that, you know, this is obviously everything that's on the slide is important, but something to just keep in mind is that contacting us as soon as you have some kind of issue is for your benefit. We can guide you in the right direction, whether it's filing an internal appeal or going to the SDRCC or just simply communicating with the NSO in some form. We can help you through that process, and even if you think, oh, I only have, 72 hours before I'm supposed to be on a plane to go to Europe for some sort of championships, appeals can be filed that quickly, they have been filed that quickly, and decisions can be rendered that quickly. So don't ever let time limits make you not call us, because we have worked that quickly before.
Okay, so just giving you the rundown of a typical sports solution case. You'll hear a lot about the procedures later on from the SDRCC presentation as well. So first of all, generally you'll have to exhaust all of your internal procedures before you go to the SDRCC. So generally that'll involve an internal appeals process that will go to an internal appeals committee within your NSO. Every athlete agreement has an appeals policy in it. It's mandated by Sport Canada, so if you haven't looked at it, look at it, because some of them they all have differing requirements for time limits, how much you have to pay, and what the grounds for appeal that are allowed are. So please look at those. You're going to have to reach out to us first. We can help you navigate through that appeals policy. We can assist you in drafting anything, your letters, your submissions to anybody within the organization. So it's not you demanding something out of your NSO, it's your representative demanding something out of your NSO. So that kind of removes you from the process a little bit. And again, we just provide the support. We are there holding your hand through it so that it doesn't feel so scary, because we have heard that it can be a very scary process, so we have experienced this. And then when you go to the SDRCC, it's kind of the same thing over again, but with an arbitrator chosen by the SDRCC. So
I think that keeping detailed records is something that has proven to help athletes throughout the process. So keeping emails, for example, that you've had with your NSO, because that can be put forward as evidence. But if that hasn't happened and it's been phone conversations, it is possible to bring people in during the process or have them write something afterwards. So make sure that, and names, dates, that kind of thing, and keeping emails, that's all very important. Knowing your rights and responsibilities, we've discussed that. That's by reading things that apply to you and understanding them, asking questions if you don't understand aspects of them, and just communicating with your NSO, with your athlete rep, with us when something doesn't seem right or when you just need to talk about something.
I feel like we've beaten this topic a little bit to death, but really we cannot stress this enough. Please call us as soon as you can. Please, if you reach out to us, the sooner the better. I mean, it sounds like we're getting really stressed about it, but the number of times we've seen cases that just it's a workable case, but you just waited too long, or now you have to go somewhere, something like that. I mean, sometimes the SGRCC can be amenable to hearing their reasons why you couldn't appeal on time or something like that, but we'd rather not have to do that. So they look more favorably upon appealing on time, and we do too. So the earlier you call us, I know you're annoyed of hearing it, but please call us early.
This is just our contact information. This is on the Athletes Can website. It's also, if you Google Sports Solution Western University, or we also have sheets in the Vista room with this contact information, as well as information just about the clinic. So if you'd like to pick those up, and we encourage you to let other athletes know within your organization about us. It's been really rewarding helping people this summer, and we just want to continue to help all of you guys and everyone that you work with.
Yeah, I mean, just to add to that, we've been dealing with these cases on a very close basis since May, and meeting you guys this weekend has really, we already were really attached to the causes before, but now it's going to be even harder with these cases, because now we've put some faces and put some stories to the cases that we've done, and you guys are all really amazing people, and you deserve to get the rights that you've earned, you've worked so hard for. So please spread the word about us. There are a lot of athletes out there, again, maybe 30% of you that haven't heard about us. So for those 30% that don't know about us, let them know that they have options. It's free. So why not? It's provided by Athletes Can. It's a wonderful resource. So let them know about it, and have them call us up. We're pretty lonely in our office, so we check our voicemail all the time, our emails all the time. So please call us. Okay.
Should we call you early?
Oh, call us early. Again, if in case I didn't mention that earlier, yes.
Can I add to that? Would you mind?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Just so people understand, when you're saying that message, I've had the luxury of representing some athletes at the SCRCC, and when they say make the call early, I think there are two reasons to do that. As a lawyer, when we get a call, if it's late in the game, so if you go through that internal process, so you work through your mom, your dad, your coach, your neighbor, whatever, by the time it gets to us, you've probably taken away a lot of the steps or things that we could appeal, what we call grounds of appeal. So the sooner you get it, the better it is, because then we have a larger foundation in terms of the grounds of appeal. The longer you wait, it limits our grounds and their ability to actually argue when you get to that next level. The other thing I would say, and the reason I would say do it, is when athletes get into these disputes, it's very emotional, right? People are emotionally charged, and so what they do get their neighbors or their parents, and then the parents get involved, and it's not really legal, it's all based on emotional. The benefit of having an organization like Sports Solution, they're not emotionally vested. They're looking at the law, they're looking at the rules and the process and whether or not they've been followed. So there's great value in actually taking responsibility and taking that opportunity, actually. Okay. And it's free.
And it's free.
Right now, right?
Oh yeah.
Does anyone else have? Yeah.
So, do you just,
You
like,
have a loud
as
voice.
soon as appeal comes in, do we call you? Because, like, I've had appeals come in, and I obviously haven't called you, sorry. And then our NSO is like, I don't really want to deal with the paperwork of this going to a higher level, so can you just settle on appeal, and then we get this over with? So is that, like, can we get, do you understand what I'm saying?
Please call us. So what do you mean, like, when an appeal comes in? Like, when someone files an appeal? Yeah, so when someone files an appeal or wants to file an appeal with your NSO, please call us right away. We can kind of give you some guidance as to what your chances are, like what the grounds of appeal are like for you, and what your chances are of success at an arbitration or a mediation or something like that. So please call us, because you don't necessarily, like, we've gone through this a couple times, so we might have a better idea of, like, what the likelihood is of success. Oh, I didn't mean success. Of you getting what you think you want to get.
I have a question. So if we file an appeal, does the NSO, do they get lawyers as well?
Yes, often they do.
Okay, so what happens if they don't? Like, I don't understand how this would work. For example, like team selection. Let's say the athlete is, like, they hit all the criteria on making the team, but at the end of the day, the head coach is just like, no, we don't want you. Like, what happens from there?
Well, from there, you file an internal appeal. If they don't get a lawyer, it doesn't matter, because anyone in the process can self-represent. So they can represent themselves, the athletes can represent themselves, or they can choose someone else to represent them.
Okay.
So in the internal appeal, generally what we've seen with a lot of NSOs is that there's an internal appeals panel that gets appointed, and they hear the appeal and all that. If it doesn't go in your favor, then from there, after you've exhausted all the internal processes, we can go to the SDRCC, where a third-party arbitrator, like a completely neutral person, arbitrator or mediator, will hear the case, and they have the power to put you on the team if they feel like there was an injustice served.
Okay, and has that ever happened before?
Have people
Like,
been,
in terms of, like, that third party being like, you deserve to be on the team, so you're on the team now and someone else is off the team type of thing?
Yes, absolutely, that has happened. That is basically always the case with the team selection cases that we see, and, like, it'll be someone saying, hey, I actually deserve to be on the team, and usually there's only a limited number of spots, so they have to switch someone else out, and yeah.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I'm not sure if the SDRCC will bring this up, but there is the case of affected parties. So that would be the person who they're kind of in limbo. They're the ones who aren't appealing. So let's say you were appealing to say you should be on the team, and then someone else, their spot could be affected. So any of you could be named as an affected party, and it's important to involve yourself in that process. That's something that the SDRCC talked to us about. A lot of athletes decide not to, but it's important just so that your story can be heard, so an arbitrator can hear your opinion. But yes, to answer your question, an arbitrator will look at everything and make a decision as to whether the selection criteria was applied properly and can potentially place you on the team.
Okay, thank you.